Say what? Oh, hold on. I ain't got the mic yet. There we go. Okay. What's up, everybody, man? How you doing? Welcome to another episode from Broke to Millions. Today we got my man Darren on the show today, and we're going to show with you how to go from 64 units in 6 months. So look, I'm gonna show you, we're gonna talk about how to go to 64 doors in 6 months. And tonight we're talking with Darren Wright, who lives all the way up in Canada, eh? Darren is one of my students. He has an amazing story of how he overcame so many challenges in life in order to achieve his success and his real estate career. I mean, some of these challenges Darren's faced was dyslexia. I can't even get out dyslexia, introverted personality. But despite all of that, Darren has been able to achieve great things in real estate. We're going to talk about how he got this 16 units under contract and closed. And look, if you're struggling with self-confidence because of certain circumstances in your life, then you're going to want to stick around and be inspired by Darren's story. But before we start, drop in the comments where you're checking in from, and also please ask your questions because we're going to be responding to your questions towards the end of the show. So look, just ask your questions right now. Type in the chat where you're checking in from. And I'm so glad you're here. Hey, man, Darren, Joe, where you at, brother?
Hey, what's going on? I'm Pittsburgh here. How we doing tonight?
It's all good, man. We checking in from the Nasty Natty, brother. And I got, man, they moved this camera. My eyes like, I don't know where to look at. Where to look? I look right here. There you go.
Many cameras.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Shirt on. I'm loving it.
There you go,
I'm
man.
excited to talk to Darren. Haven't got to talk to Darren in a while. Excited to hear how things are going.
I got you. Hey, we got to turn that Instagram on. Yeah, man. Darren, where you at, brother? Is he there?
Yeah, I lost you there for a moment.
Okay, there we go. My man Darren, how you doing, brother?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, thank you for having me on your show. I'm very grateful to be here.
Man, we're grateful to have you here, man. Like you went from like 64 doors in 6 months, and then you closed this 16 unit. Like, how'd you do all that, man? And you got some of those units in the U.S.?
No, there's not in the US at
Okay.
the moment, but that's what we're.
All right,
Our
but
original
everything
goal
is in
was to get to
Canada.
100 units in Canada.
Oh,
and then
really?
Start investing in the US so we could, get to know his own market first, and then transition down to America.
And then you did some computer science, and then you like to keep to yourself. Like, how'd you do all that, man?
Perseverance. I mean, we about 6 years ago we started flipping houses, and after doing a few of those, and I got a threeplex that needed flipping, so we did the threeplex and kept that because I always knew getting the rental income was the goal. With flipping, we're always working. You're constantly working a job, whereas I wanted to get the long term wealth. And then after we did the threeplex, I was wiped out with a divorce, so I had to sell everything.
Wait a minute. So you got a divorce in the middle? You got a divorce in the middle of you flipping houses and starting to build the cash?
Yeah, and got completely wiped out. I had a electrical contracting business as well that I'd run for over 10 years that I had to close as well. So everything came to a grinding halt, and we had to start from scratch.
Wait a minute. You had the electrical company, and then in the midst of you starting to flip houses, you got a divorce all at one time?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Man, how'd you make it through that, man? Because that's like, what happened to the electrical business?
think we're still there. Keep talking again.
Say that again.
Yeah, I've lost you on the screen. Yeah, the electrical business. We had to close. We had to liquidate, just so we could pay for the divorce. It wasn't enough to
Oh, snap.
do that. Yeah.
And Darren, I need you to stay close to your microphone. So
Okay.
the divorce made you sell, and then you lost your electrical business. Like you literally lost your source of income. What made
right.
you choose real estate to keep going?
Real estate started as a side hustle. I wanted to rebuild and build generational wealth. I'd lost everything that I'd earned all my life. So I was trying to build as quickly as I could to get back to where I was. And
Say that again. Darren, you there? Oh man, yeah, this thing. Joe, you there?
Yeah, I'm still here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. I don't know why it's always the second guess, man.
I can drop out. That would help.
Is it Joe or is it Joe's good?
Oh, it's just him.
So Joe, man, and can you pull Joel up so I can look at him? We don't see him. So Joe, man, tell us a little more about Darren. Like he's been doing really well. I mean, but that sounds challenging of what he had to go through, man.
Right. Yeah, he went through a divorce. Was an electrician, right, and he had to close down his business. He said to take care of that, which kind of led him into the real estate business, right? Like he said, it was kind of a hobby, right? It was secondary, and then it became, hey, we better take this seriously. And he's remarried now, and him and his wife started their own business where they partner, and they work on multifamily up in Canada. And actually, he didn't get a chance to mention it yet, but I'm sure he'll talk about when he gets back. But he's in the process of transitioning down to the States as well. But yeah, he's up in how many units does he have now? Close to 100 in Canada at this point.
Wow. So now he's talking about coming back to the U.S. to put this all together. Or
Yeah, so
not
he
come back, but come to the U.S.
Right. Yeah, he joined in with us. He came to one of our live events. Kind of got to experience that, spent some time with us, and went through the program, learned a lot, right, and applied it up there. So he's been acquiring some units up there. Like you're going to probably hear about when he gets back is the 16 unit that he's working on. And, he went through some struggles, just like I'm sure every investor does with property managers and his team. But yeah, so his plan is to move down. I think he wants to invest up in the Detroit area because he's got family there. But he's mainly going to move down to Florida, and that's going to be his.
Well, look, man, guys, man, I'm telling you about overcoming all these different obstacles, like those cannot be reasons why you just stop what you're doing. Like you got to keep pushing through, got to keep working through what your overall goal is, and don't let anything hold you back. Like, no, listen, what do we say? Disruption always follows intention. Right? Like disruption always falls into, like every time you're ready to take something on and everything seems like it's flowing really good, that's when everything starts to change. Like it never amazed myself that whenever you try to accomplish something, then you have some major hurdle to jump. And my point is, like, you can keep pushing through. You just must be steadfast and work at it every day. And listen, this is the part where they say it's pretty uncomfortable, right? That's where all the growth is. But I really, I will always say, man, you got to not be comfortable. And, comfortable to me was like, man, I'm sitting on the couch making a couple of dollars and life is good. And I got my steak dinner and I got my beer, Nah, that uncomfortable is uncomfortable, man. Like, like the heart be
Well, yeah,
racing. Yeah,
they
that's
say
what.
comfort's the enemy of progress. They say
Say that comfort is what?
comfort's the enemy of progress.
Oh, well, let me tell you something. I like progressive, but I don't like the. I don't like the uncomfortable, brother. Hey, but it's what we go through to get there. I've done a lot of things to be uncomfortable, man, to get where I am. Because literally, when you're doing stuff and you're uncomfortable, like you don't know what's ahead. There's nobody really there to guide you, and like that's what makes it so challenging. You're like, man, what can I do? Who can I talk to? Yeah, and so that's some of the different challenges we have when doing this. Okay, we got my man back here. He's gonna check in. But those are some of the challenges that you go through from time to time whenever you overcome these obstacles. So, Darren, you there, brother?
Yeah, I am. And try my cell phone this time, see if it's easier.
Yeah, the cell phone's working great, brother. That's good, man. So we were just talking about, you broke
We have
down
the technology.
There you go, man. You broke down the business, you sold it off, you chose real estate, and now how many units you have now?
Currently today we have 50 units, and
Okay.
December 1st we'll have 98.
Oh,
So our goal this year was to get to 100. Yeah.
and and so you failed.
And that was always stage one.
So you failed. You failed miserably. You only got 98. What are you going to do, brother? How are you going to meet the goal? How are you going to get this quota?
I'm too off, but I'm looking at a threeplex tomorrow, so I could just do it, yeah.
That's what I'm talking about, bro. That's what I'm talking about, man. We got to finish this out, man. It ain't over till it's over. So that's exciting, man. What? So tell me now you got a divorce, but this time you got your wife a part of this, right? Like how did that work out, and
yes,
what did you do differently that she became engaged with it?
Dorothy and I have known each other for a long time, and she's been a very good friend and helped me through the divorce. And Dorothy is a very avid woodworker. She does, woodworking, making furniture, recycling wood, and she has also been renovating her house and done flips as well. So combining that together and using his resources, it was a good partnership.
Oh man, that was a tag team match. That's literally a match made in heaven, brother.
Yeah, the power team. Yeah.
That's awesome. And so what does she do actually? Like, do y'all split up bros, or she may run a deal and you run a deal? Like, how does that work?
Right now, Dorothy does more of the property management and looking after tenants, whereas I do more of the acquisition, finding deals and talking with, potential investors or sellers, and running the renovation projects, running the contractors and the numbers. She calls me the numbers guy.
Now, that's interesting. Well, because you already ran a business, so some things come naturally. Now, running the construction crew, that's probably your thing. Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
And then, but what made you start analyze deals? Like, how did you get to like, man, I know this is a deal? Was it because you understood the construction cost, or you just recognized the deal? Like, how did you get started?
I guess with running my own electrical company, I had to estimate jobs, and you start to learn about, because as an electrician, you get trained to be electrician, but you do not get trained on how to run a business. And a lot of tradespeople go and become a business. Some become a business owner, and then it's always a hard stretch because there's no education for that. So you learn from the school of hard knocks. But if you're putting your own money in and estimating a job on labor and material, if you make a mistake, then it costs you and your business. So you learn pretty quick to stay in business. And I guess the way I look at multifamily, again, it's a business. You have your income and you have your expenses. So I'm kind of good. It's one of my strong points is to look at the income and expenses and see on how they perform.
Got you. Hey guys, if you like this information, guys, I need you to, on Instagram, hit me with them hearts. On Facebook, YouTube, give me your thumbs up. I'll get your questions in the comments because we're going to get started answering some questions pretty soon. Joe, man, what do you think? What else you want to ask ask Darren over here, brother?
Yeah, Darren. So tell us some of the challenges you kind of faced. We kind of spoke in the past a little bit about, you mentioned you had some issues with property managers. You hired one and he quit on the first day. What kind of challenges have you faced?
What happened, man? Yeah. He quit on the first day?
Yeah. Yeah, that was a handyman. We were trying to find a handyman, and we advertised and we interviewed, quite a few, and we settled on one that might work. And so his first day, in the afternoon, we met him, we gave him some work orders and said, this is exactly how we want them, do the work, fill the hours in, and then we can report back to the investors on that particular unit and building, what work's been done and all the costs are accounted for. Well, the next day he called and said, it's not going to work. He quit. So we said, well, where are the keys? And he just left them inside the apartment and didn't lock the door. So we're like, you kind of decided you'd quit before you left.
Well, I mean, what happened in one day that made him quit, man? Like, what did you overwork him? Yeah. Like, what happened?
No, we left him to it. We said it was flexible time, come and go as you want, but here's the work orders, and some jobs have been waiting. It was simple jobs, fixed a bit of trim around the door and replacing a mirror and privacy screen, I think, on one of the windows. So it wasn't
not even a hard day. Like, you didn't have him snake out the main drain that day, right? It wasn't backed up.
No, we're saving that for day two.
Yeah. So Darren, the question about the 16 unit. So how did you come about finding the 16 unit? What kind of attracted you to it? And was there a rent upside? Was it a value add property? What were the things that kind of attracted it to you? And like I said, where did you find it?
Okay, well, we advertised in a local forum, a bit like GJ sort of a thing, or Craigslist, that, hey, we're looking for multifamily 5 units or more in this area. And Dorothy got a call because it's her phone, and it was in a neighboring town. It wasn't a town we're looking at. And Dorothy and I was in the process of a difficult eviction as well at that time. The tenant was supposed to be out and they weren't out. So we're dealing with that and saying, okay, well, we're here. You got 10 minutes. Get your stuff and out you go.
Oh, wow.
And in the middle of that, Dorothy got a phone call and she answered it. And then she had a nice conversation, and it was winter time. I think the new year was coming. He said, well, we'll come in January and take a look. So then we made arrangements and took a look. And our criteria is we want value add. We want properties that need some work doing to them so we can fix them up and increase the rents. But we went to this building, which was a walk-up building, which was a little bit different for us, in a more rural town, which is what we went looking for. And one unit had just come vacant, so we were able to go in and look. And the owner wanted to retire. He'd had it for well over 20 years. And he kept really good maintenance on it. It'd been his baby. He'd really looked after it. So my comment was, well, you've kind of left nothing for us to do. We like to do the renovations, but it was a good price. He had an evaluation done a couple of years ago, and he wanted less than what the appraisal was. So we knew we had value on day one, even if we went off an appraisal from 2 years ago. I knew the rents were low, and I knew we could increase the rents without doing much renovation, coat of paint, maybe on a move out.
How much could you,
and naturally,
where would you push the rents from? Like, what were the rents at, and then what were you able to push them to?
Well, I'll describe the units. So we don't have any other building like this. I think there are. So there's a large living room as you go in, and then an open plan dining room. Then there's a kitchen, and there's a dishwasher in the kitchen. So we knew that was unique. Mm-hmm. And then as you go into the full 4-piece bathroom, just off that was a laundry room. So they have their own in-suite washer dryer. And these things are what tenants really want. And then there was a second bedroom, which was a nice size, can be a bedroom or an office. And then the main bedroom actually had a walk-in closet. And I have never seen this in any apartment building before. Really? So I knew that these are going to be easily rented. And they were rented at $680 a month. And they were good quality units. Mm-hmm. So we knew without trying that out, on a move out, we could get $880 without any problems. So that was $200 per unit rise that we could get.
That's good.
Per month.
Nice.
Yeah. So when I did the numbers, I mean, that just goes straight to the bottom line. And it cash flowed at $680. We could make a cash flow at that. So I said
$680. So $680 a month was a deal, and then you were able to bump it to $880. That was nice, man.
Yeah. That's what we're walking through. Yeah. So I did 16 units. We've already done 2. We've already had 2 move out. So.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
I predicted about 2 years we would naturally do it.
So what did you purchase this for, and then what do you believe you're going to be all in it for? And then what will it be worth? So purchase, then all in for construction, and what do you believe it'll be worth?
We purchased for $1.3 million.
Okay.
And we have no construction to do. We're just naturally increasing the rents because we bought below value. And the appraisal was 1.7 on the buy. And that was at $680 rents.
That's impressive, bro.
Yeah.
So you bought it, you said you bought it for 1.2?
1.3, and it was appraised at 1.7. So we made $400,000 on the buy. Yeah.
And then now that you pushed the rents up, you created even more value there. That was impressive, man.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So then obviously 5 years we'll be in a position where we can refinance again, and we'll pull all that equity out.
Really?
And we'll keep going.
And you do it all over again, or what? Or you buy another multi-unit, or what do you think you do?
Oh yeah, keep going. Buy as many as we can.
Gotcha. Now tell us about this new deal that you just closed, or you're about to close. Yeah, because it put you at 98 units. What is this deal?
Okay. Yeah, this one is a 48 unit, and we've just closed on it. So the financing's all been approved, and December 1st we'll get the keys. And this one's a little bit different again because it's a share purchase. So we're actually buying the corporation that holds these 4 12-unit buildings, and they're all next to each other. So it's a big complex.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Now, when you say you bought the share, so would you, at least in the U.S., I would describe that as an entity purchase, which is, that's exactly what it is. You did an entity purchase. Why did you do an entity purchase versus buying them outright, like transferring the title and everything? Was there a specific reason why they did that?
There was a few reasons. First, it was to satisfy the sellers because it was a broken partnership that had this property, and it was more favorable for them, for tax advantages for them, to sell it as a share sale. So really didn't want an asset sale. And for us, we were saving land transfer tax, which I
Absolutely.
think was going to be around $45,000 to $50,000.
So by
So
just
we saved
transferring it,
that.
so if you transfer it, it would have increased your taxes by $45,000 or to $45,000.
Well, in Canada, we have a land transfer tax that you have to pay when you purchase a property. When the title
Ah,
changes into a new name, you have to pay that as a one-off fee. And
ah.
the property taxes would go up as well, because then you trigger a new sale value
Mm-hmm.
because of the transfer as well. So the tax assessment would go up again.
Now, that's
Yeah.
pretty impressive, man. So we would do entity transfers in Cincinnati and in the States to avoid the similar things that you were. What the main thing was property taxes for us. It wasn't so much hiding the shares or tax things like that, but the property taxes would definitely increase when we recorded the value. But what we've noticed lately in the last 3-4 years, the county has really been cracking down on these entity transfers. Is that been a problem in Canada? Like literally once they see it transfer, because even though you buy it in that entity, once you close, then probably a week or two later, they may transfer the entity again. But you know, they don't see any loans or anything like that. Has that been different for you guys?
Okay. Yeah, we've had no resistance. I mean, you're buying a business in reality. It's just a business transaction where you're buying the shares of the corporation, the entity, and we just become the new owners. The directors are out, and we're the new directors. And another cost saving was insurance as well, because the insurance is kind of grandfathered with an existing customer. We've been finding when we buy a new property or the new owners, it just seems to give the insurance companies a reason to double the insurance because you're now a new customer on that property.
Man,
Yeah.
that's pretty great, man. That's pretty great. What else we got, Joe?
Do you have any partners, Darren? Do you work with partners on your deals, or is it just you and
Yes.
Dorothy going?
Yeah. No. Every deal we have a partner, because we're having the divorce. I was completely wiped out and didn't have the money like I did when I was doing the flips, because the flips I did myself. But from starting from scratch was probably one of the best lessons I could learn, because then you learn you have to go out and get money. So I had to use partners. I kept reading about, no money down, other people's money, but never had to do that. I was doing it very slowly, one at a time. But we partnered up on our first property with a great partner, and we've done many deals since, and we're going to continue doing many deals together. He has his own properties, and then we partner up, in my local city, and that's been great. And then this 48 unit, that didn't work, so we got another partner and partnered up with that. So now we have, a couple of other partners that have the money or can raise the money.
Now talk
I'm a lot
about
better
that.
at doing the acquisition rather than finding the money, but that's the next step that I'd like to learn and get better at that. Yeah.
Well, tell us about that. So, because you said you were an introvert, and then you were forced to get out there. First of all, it's some when your circumstances will push you to different levels. Number one, but tell us, how did you find this partner, and then what was the conversation like? Right, because like you needed money. I'm assuming, like, was your credit okay? Like you said you were wiped out. Like, why would anybody do a deal with you?
Yeah, my credit was still good. I wasn't in any trouble. It's just had no cash left on hand.
Okay.
And it was good how we connected with this partner, because from Brandon, it's only a small city. The bigger city is Winnipeg, which is 2.5 hours away.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you want to do real estate networking, there's not much going on in our city. So Dorothy and I used to drive, or we still drive, the 2.5 hours to go to an event,
Mm-hmm.
do the evening, and then drive the 2.5 hours back, getting back after midnight, 1 o'clock. And we did that for a couple of years,
Really?
and we built friends, network, and credibility with people that we always show up. Some people can't even drive 5 minutes. It's too far. And then we were driving 5 hours there and back.
I think we did some calls together when you were driving for those events.
Pardon?
I said, I think we did some calls together when you were driving to some of those events. You had hours in the car. We did some of our calls while you're doing that.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you got nothing else to do. So when we're trying to get we tried to get a private money for this first deal, and he recommended somebody to me, and I said, yes, I'm actually friends with him on Facebook through, acquaintances, and maybe met him once. And he had some money. He was saying, hey, I've got some money. Who's got a deal? So then we arranged a call, and then we had a call and a good conversation. He, give me a bio of what he is and where he's at, and I did. And so then I sent him all the details of the deal, and we just kind of kept communication and worked from there. And it worked out great. So he had some private money, some investors' money. So we actually bought the first property. So, we used the money. I did the renovations, and we refinanced it, and now we own the building 50-50. And we just no private money on it now. It's just a mortgage.
Now let me ask you that. So he was a private lender, although you split it 50-50, but he's a private lender. So did he want interest on his money, or y'all just straight split the deal, or you pay the debt and then you split the proceeds? How did you structure that?
He has he's not a private lender. He just has a private fund that he has private investors. So we used their money. So he was just a money raiser for that. So we paid interest to the investors, and they were paid off. And obviously for that, we did the equity 50-50. So everything is just split down the middle. Yeah.
And then what debt were you paying in Canada? Is it any different than the U.S. on deals?
Yeah, it was 10% for the private money.
I mean, that was great, man. And then when you pay your investors off on those deals, they didn't have any more equity in the deal. It was just you and your partner. No. That was awesome.
Yeah.
Now on the 48 unit, are you structuring the deal the same way, or are you bringing in more people to raise capital and then they'll take equity, or will they just do debt?
No, I actually structured this one differently. So for the 48, it's going to be just a pure buy and hold. So it was a long term. So I actually had another partner who was selling. Well, there's two of them in a company that's selling all their single family because they've just had enough of the property management side and wanted to get more on the limited partner side. So I put in a private Telegram group that we have with a network. I just said, hey, I got this deal. I'm just looking for money partners, and I'll split the equity 50-50. You just have to bring the deposit and obviously help qualify for the mortgage as well as I will. And that's how we structured that one. Yeah.
D, man, you sound like you killing it on these deals, bro. Yeah, I think I just.
Yeah, we're doing well. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. And then what,
we just want a lot more of them.
Yeah, absolutely. Now,
Mike, did you know that? I was going to tell you, did you know that Darren was a real estate agent?
What? You got more than side hustles here. Tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, I had to surrender my license. because the Manitoba Securities have changed the rules where you can only buy one off-market deal every 12 months. And the 16 unit that we bought was an off-market deal. So therefore, I'm excluded from doing another one for 12 months. Well, lo and behold, as soon as you get one, you get another one. We were viewing a package of 22 units in the same place. And I said, well, I was already making a decision that I want to be all in on the investing side. And the realtor was taking me away from that. And also the brokerage was getting very nervous about the amount that I was buying and the scale we were buying them at and the speed.
That's crazy.
It's not for everyone. When people have got a limited mind, they can't see how it's possible to be able to buy so many properties. They think there's something wrong with it, or it must be underhand, or it's money laundering, or they have all sorts of conspiracy theories. They just don't understand. They don't have the knowledge. So I'm not there to educate them. I'm there to just keep buying their deals. So
there you go, man. You know what's so crazy? I remember when I first started, right? And guys, I'm not talking down on anybody. It's all about perspective and then what you surround yourself by. When I first started, I was like, oh my gosh, this guy owns 50 units. And then I meet somebody else. Oh my gosh, this guy owns 100 units. Like, who does that? Like, some people barely got one house. Barely one house. This guy got 100 of them. And then I started getting in the room with people with 500, 1,000. And then I was like, wait a minute, you can buy 1,000 units? And then I met people with 5,000 and 10,000. And then I'm like, 100's nothing. That's just getting started. Now, don't get me wrong, guys. 100 is a lot. And if you don't think it is, manage it yourself. see how much that is, trying to manage 100 units. Like, that's a lot of work, but the payoff is so amazing. And when you got a small group, it's just you and your partner and y'all split it, that's great. But what you were saying, though, you really got into the mindset of it. Like, some people have these limiting beliefs. Like, oh my gosh, you bought one, that's too much. Like, you keep pushing through, you keep excelling, and you keep obtaining. Like, I mean, and once you learn the system, I really don't know when you're going to stop. Like, Darren, do you have a number? Do you have a number you're going to stop at?
Stop? No. I have. My original number was to get to 100. And then that's stage one. The stage two was then to go down to the US. Since joining your group and talking with Joe, we had to do the BHAG. And so we did the numbers, and we came up with, we want to do 2,500 units in 5 years.
Oh,
and then we'd like stick a couple of hotels on top of that.
Oh, so, my goodness. Not the Monopoly game, baby. Are you serious?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
I mean, to be successful is three parts. The first part is you have to believe you can do it. And it's easy. If you see someone else that's done it, like yourself, and you've got Tim, and you've got all those other success, Keisha, they've got multiple units. So we know it's possible. So we believe we can do that as well. And then the second part of the success is you need to get the education. You need to get the knowledge. So you can have a reader book, or you can have a mentor like yourself, Mike, which is what we've done. And then the third part is the easiest. It's action. You've got to take action. You just got to go and do it. And you will be successful. And we truly believe that. We run our business on faith. And that's the way we're moving.
Oh, my gosh, man.
Yeah.
You just hit everything right there. I always like to say that is a real. That ain't even that's a check.
Joe, I already put it down the mark already. I just wrote it down like for real. So I looked down and I was like, oh.
that was, listen, man. Like, I always say, like, your life is like a blockbuster hit movie. And I say that because literally it is, and it's a formula. Like, in order to have a top hit movie, they follow this one formula, and you just broke it all the way down. If you want your life to be a true blockbuster hit movie, number one, it starts with a character, the hero, which is you, right? But that character, that hero, has a problem, which was you, right? And then your problem, dyslexia, divorce, your business was gone, right? And you were an introvert. And so then you had this problem, and you wanted to overcome it, and you started doing it on your own, but it wasn't till you got a guide, a mentor, a coach, or Obi-Wan Kenobi. And then from there, the guide gives you a plan, right? He gives you the call to action. He gives you the force. It's like, baby, you know you can float in the air, right? You know you can grab 2,000 units. You don't have to stay here with these 100 units, baby. You can get up here to heaven, man. So I'm just so happy that you have that mindset now and where you're going, and like you even doubling down, like, man, I'm not only doing it in Canada, but I'm bringing it back. I'm taking it to the U.S. I'm going to go to Detroit and put it on there. And I'm so excited for you and the wife and all the places that you guys are going, man, because that was amazing, man. That you got me all hyped right there. We don't need to talk no more. We don't need to talk no more.
Thank you, man.
Yeah. Hey, so, you know, with that, I mean, Joe asked a couple questions, but Kobe, would you look to see if we got any questions in there as well? Guys, hit me with the thumbs up if you like are you catching what we throwing here? Are you putting down what we laying down? Ask your questions, put them in the chat, and we'll go from there. So go ahead, Joe.
Yeah, Darren, you know, we kind of touched on it a little bit there, Mike did, but, you know, it's really amazing, and I'm sure it's a huge encouragement to those who are struggling as well to move forward. But, you know, talk about, you know, some of those challenges, right? Your dyslexia, your introvertedness, you know.
Either one.
Tell us a little bit about that. You know, at first, did that hold you back? Did you use that as fuel to kind of push you forward? How did you overcome that? Was it, you know, networking, events and partners, or how did you deal with that? And do you still struggle with that?
Yeah, I still struggle with dyslexia every day. I mean, school was just almost impossible. They didn't back then. They didn't know how to help dyslexic. I was truant for most of the final 2 years of my high school. I left high school at 16, and I had no diploma. I failed high school. What? And then I went on to electrical school, and I had to take a test there, and they tried to kick me out of electrical school as well. But every time somebody says no, and you're determined, you just have to. Wait a minute. Okay, how can I do it? You say no, I can't do it, but how can I do it? So you have to work around it.
Yeah, my man got kicked.
And
Joe,
go ahead.
My man got kicked out of school. They tried to kick him out of electrician school. And you still put it down. And the divorce. And had to start over. Man, how old were you when you got the divorce, D?
It started 5 years ago. I only officially got divorced last year. It was a bit of a fight, which is something I would not recommend with anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So yeah, overcoming. I mean, you're going to disadvantage with dyslexia for. You're going to disadvantage with dyslexia for the reading and the spelling, but you have the advantage where most dyslexias are highly intelligent people, and my special skill is problem solving and knowing the numbers. So that really helps me, and I've always pulled everything apart to see how it works, and then once I figure out how it works, then I do it to the way I can figure it out and do it. So I do it my way. I've done my own spreadsheets for numbers because if you do the ones that you see online on bigger pockets, and you don't understand them, but when you develop them yourself, when you really deal, deep down, you know where that net income comes from, rather than just putting in a few rents and a few expenses and going, oh, this is the NOI. People don't understand that. You've really got to tear things apart, and that's what I'm good at. So.
Well, no wonder you're an electrician, because I can't understand any of that stuff, how the currents work and all that.
Yeah.
You good, Mike?
I mean, after failing high school, I even went on to university and got a degree. I only did that to prove to myself that I wasn't, or to prove out to everybody else that I wasn't stupid. Because people think if you're a dyslexic, you must be stupid, but I did to prove that I wasn't.
Now
but the biggest lesson I learned when I got my degree is I didn't need to prove it to anybody.
That's right. Now, is it for a lot of people that do have dyslexia, do you memorize a lot of things, or because it's kind of hard to read sometimes, so once you read it, you read it really slow and then you kind of keep it to memory? Or is it that you just take notes profusely? Which one is it for you?
Yeah, a bit of both. Mainly memorizing stuff. Yeah,
that's crazy. No,
and now with technology, I mean, you talk to your phone and ask for a spelling of a word, and it'll do it, and it can read stuff to you. And now we've got ChatGPT. I've done some great stuff with that. It's technology is a great aid, that's for sure.
Man, that's amazing, man. No, I'm so excited for you, brother. And these are amazing, great things, guys. Everybody, give it up for Darren, man. This is inspiring to me. Like Joe, we said this was gonna be inspiring, but I didn't realize where my man was coming from, man. Like from the bottom to the top.
Yeah.
And then where he's going.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, Darren, tell us a little bit of challenges you're gonna face, coming to the U.S. and investing. Coming from Canada, I know you're going to face some challenges with that. We kind of spoke about.
Well, I got to start again after, because I got, I may have, some real estate and some assets here in Canada, but that's not going to make any difference when we start down in the States. So that's another reason for the group is, partnerships, to partner and leverage each other. I can leverage other people that do have the equity and assets there, for qualifying for the mortgage or, for the money. And, I have my assets of having a lot of skills by doing this many times over and also being good at finding the acquisitions.
Mm. Yeah. What, so when you come to the States, will you still own, who will manage day to day for Canada, or will you just go back and forth? How will you do that?
Yeah, we'll be going backwards and forth. The idea is to spend most of the winters in Florida, and also be stopping in Detroit where my son lives. So we're going to buy property in Detroit, and we're going to buy property in Florida. So any projects we can manage and just go between. And we're going to have, we're hiring staff now locally so we can keep the business going. My ultimate goal is to build such a huge business that when I do pass this wealth generation over to our kids, that it's not a job for them. We're not building it so they've got a job. Hey, you got to take over the family business. We want to give it to them that it's running itself, that they just need to oversee it. That's and right. You can only do that when you get to a certain size. So that's why we need to get the number of units that we need to get to. So you can afford to pay people to run it properly.
Yeah, 2,500 is kind of that number, man. Because when you get to 2,500, now you can hire the staff you want because you got the cash flow. You're paying people no premium. And like you said, you're just overseeing everything. And literally, you're living like a king. And not in a king in a way of just you just sitting on the throne, but having people working for you and helping you attack the market, going to war for you out there, handling the day-to-day activities, like that's an amazing. And it's funny that you said 25 because my partner's venture, that's the number they wanted to be at because they said, man, I was like, why 25? Like what? Why not 1,000? Why isn't 1,200 good? Why isn't 50? 2,500, we can put it on cruise control. And then we just keep buying. Like we won't have to deal with anything. Like we'll deal with everything. We'll analyze deals. We'll bring them in. I mean, our guys will bring us deals, and if they like them, then we'll look at them, then we'll throw it in. So that's amazing, man. That's amazing.
So Darren,
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
one of the, in line with that, so some of the challenges was scaling with you. I think if I remember correctly, you said when you come to the States, being that you're from Canada, they want to take some of your profits from your business, right?
Oh, really?
In the States, right? Because when you buy properties,
yeah.
that's true. I mean, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
So for you, it's going to be a challenge. You got
some of the tax benefits we'll get. Yeah, some of the tax benefits you get in the States, we will be taxed on the Canadian way when we do it that way. But I spoke to my accountant about that this week because I've had some time to think about it. And I said, okay, then what happens if I'm a US citizen? What happens then? I said, it depends on the residency. I said, well, I'll tell you what. I said, it's whoever get the cheapest tax rates on is where I'll be a residency at.
So that's why you chose Florida. I see. That's why you're choosing Florida.
I love it. He just goes. I love it. He's got the drive, man. He makes it work.
Yeah, no, literally, Nate. I'm talking to Nate.
Go where the money is.
Yeah, no, my man Nate. He was like, we've both been talking about Florida, but then Nate was like, man, I'm just going to Florida, man, because they nice to us on these taxes, and so that's where he's going, man. Matter of fact, he should be there. No, he's floating around a little bit. He's gone for the month, but that's really amazing, man. I'm so excited. I guess before we get out of here, like, why was it so important for you to join like a mastermind and get the mentor? Like, how did that change things for you? Like, what were the benefits of being a part of a mastermind like ours?
I've always been a firm believer in coaching. I've done it before. When I started flipping, I went with a coach, but I cheaped out and I just got the study at home manual. And I studied that manual from cover to cover and I learned all the numbers. But I think it took me about a year before I took the action. So then when we flipped his first property, I invested that money into a local real estate coaches. And then I had, some mentors there and the people we could talk to. And therefore we started speeding up with the flipping and got the threeplex. And then with that information, it was able for us to start with a multifamily. But obviously wanting to then find the information for the US, we had to do some research on, okay, who can we study from in the States? Because we could make a start, but it'll take us years to figure it out for ourselves. So the quickest way is to get a mentor and get one that you believe in and one that's actually doing it. Not one who makes up that they think they're doing it or, all this lies that you hear some people doing that you can just see through all that, so I guess that's why, why we join you. And then especially you doing hotels. I don't know anybody else who actually will help people get into the hotel industry. That just seems to be one of those dark secrets that nobody wants anybody else to know.
No, that is the secret.
And that's what drew me to getting your mentorship was the hotels. Although we're not doing the hotels to start with, we're doing what we know. We know the multifamily, and we're going to do that and get strong in that, and then do some of the hotels. So
that's awesome, man. Well, look, man, that's it, man. We're gonna check out for that, man. I love this. This was amazing, man. Like he dropped so many gems, shared how to get the bag. I feel like I went to church today. I feel so inspired. You got Kobe said we have 14 gems you dropped today, man. 14. He's counting. He's the counter, man.
Oh, okay.
Smoking out of my mind right now.
Yeah. So look, Darren, man, thanks so much for joining us. Joe, thanks for bringing Darren on, man. Everybody give Darren a round of applause, man.
Yeah.
We thank you so much. Everybody join us
on.
on.
Me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. Hey, so everybody on Instagram, everybody on YouTube and Facebook, thank you so much as usual. God bless you. God keep you. May God bless you beyond your belief, but not your capacity. And remember, you're one big deal away. Peace.
Thank you.